All right, K-Clubbers, this is the last set of slides. So today we're going to cover forms, getting the grant ready to submit, and action items. So now it begins, the great battle of the forms. So typically you're following K instructions from SF 424, the R&R application guide. This is also called Forms version F, except where instructed by your FOA. So your grant is submitted using the NIH Assist platform. Find out who in your institution actually submits your grant on Assist and fills out online forms. So it could be you, but it also may be a designated grants administrator. So in other places I've worked, I have never submitted the grant myself. There's always someone else I'm giving access to all of my documents that will be uploaded, and they are filling in online forms required for the grant. So at Library, we have a K proposal starter and a PI checklist, giving our grants director all the info she needs to fill in online forms for your K application. And then she actually submits the grant, and you don't actually submit it, but you will be available when she's submitting it. So in case anything comes up she needs input from you about, she could contact you. Let's go through this proposal starter now to see what additional info you need to include in your K application via online forms. So our grants director has put together this K99R00 proposal information form. So you'll see on the left-hand side an Assist ID that she has access to. And then she requests general information from you about the submission type of your grant, the name of the federal agency that you're applying to, or where it's most relevant for your grant. So in my case, it will probably be NIDA, but it could be NIMH for you or another institute within NIH. Then you're going to let her know, does this application involve a change of investigator or institution? Yes, you're going to specify that. And then you're also going to specify if the application is being submitted to other agencies. Then comes the title of your grant, the FOA link, so that she can check and make sure that you've covered all your bases, the proposed start date and end date of your project, and you can probably figure this out from the FOA page, and the submission deadline for this particular grant. Next, the grant director needs to know information about citizenship. So are you a US citizen or non-citizen national? And if no, you're going to select the most appropriate non-US citizen option. So for K99R00, non-citizens can apply, but for other Ks, typically non-citizens cannot apply. Permanent residents can, however. So all of this information about citizenship is needed to submit your grant. Next step, if your FOA requires a cover page, the grants director also needs info about your study involving human subjects. So you're going to answer yes or no questions related to human subjects and 1.4b, C, and D, all relate to clinical trials. And then you're going to answer a bunch of yes/no questions about vertebrate animals, proprietary or privileged information, impact on environment, partnerships outside the US, information about program income. Okay, so this part is asking you, who are the senior key people on your grant? That is going to be you as the KPI, your primary mentor, your co-mentors, and your paid consultants. Sometimes, but less often, collaborators and other significant contributors will be key people. Consultants you're paying, so they definitely are going to be senior or key people. They're included in your budget. Collaborators and contributors may not be key people. You need NIH bio sketches for all the key people on your grant. Next in this checklist is project and performance site locations. So typically this will just be your main institution, your main university, if that's where you're doing all your research. But if you are doing work at another location as well, talk to your grants person about what other paperwork might need to be completed to list another site on your grant application. Next up, we have the PI documents checklist. So on the left-hand side in yellow, there's an X next to different sections that are required. So for K99R00, you need your budget, you need your justification, you may need a cover letter. You could fill out a PHS assignment request form, talk to your grants person about that, and your primary mentor. In terms of other project information, you need your project summary, your narrative, your bibliography and references cited, your facilities and other resources, and equipment. So we've gone through most of these sections, but you will definitely need your candidate information for goals and career development. 6 pages for this section. Specific aims, 1 page. You need your research strategy, which is 6 pages. You need your training and responsible collective research, plans and statements of mentor and co-mentors, letters of support from collaborators, contributors, and consultants. You might need, depending on the institute, institutional commitment to candidates' research and career development, description of institutional environment. If you are dealing with animal research, you may need to fill out this section. And you may need a resource sharing document depending on your FOA. Remember that the 3 external reference letters will be submitted by those letter writers, not by you. So make sure, again, that you follow the SF424 R&R application guide, including the time period for when reference letters will be accepted. Make sure you check in with your letter writers and have given them a due date for these letters. Remember that all senior key personnel need NIH biosketches. So make sure that all Section A of all of those biosketches have been edited to reflect the needs of your particular project and the skills that each person has related to helping you successfully complete your project. For library proposals, make sure that you have figured out if your project is exempt from IRB review, if you're doing a clinical trial, what your clinical trials identifier is. Ask your primary mentor about that if you are doing a clinical trial. Make sure you've gotten your women and minorities and individuals across the lifespan section. Talk to your primary mentor to see if you need, and your grants person to see if you need a recruitment and retention plan. You have a study timeline. You should have a study timeline already in your research strategy, but see if you check with your grants person to see if you need another timeline somewhere else. You definitely need your inclusion enrollment report, your protection of human subjects, and your data and safety monitoring plan, and see also if you need an overall structure of the study team document for your K. Check with your grants person. So if you have a clinical trial, there's a lot more information that your grants person will need. All of it is laid out here in this protocol synopsis, but if you don't have a clinical trial, don't worry about it. A reminder to use 11-point Arial font or whatever font within that is allowed within the rules. Do half-inch margins for the side of all pages, no headers or footers, and your type density is no more than 15 characters per inch and no more than 6 lines per inch. All right, getting your grant ready to submit. Go through this proposal starter and make sure that you have all of the documents done, including your NIH biosketches for all senior and key personnel. Talk to your grants administrator to determine their deadline for you submitting the final documents to them for review and submission if someone else is going to be submitting your grant for you. This is really important because some university grants offices require that you get them all the documents they need to submit your grant 2 weeks prior to the actual due date that NIH puts forward for your grant. So you want to make sure you get everything in by the deadline that your university or institute sets for you. Talk to this person, to the grants office, how to best organize and get them your documents and info for all of the online forms. They may have another sort of proposal checklist starter where you can fill out all this information. So, treat yourself. After you've gotten everything ready to go, coordinated with your grants office or grants person, treat yourself. Clothes, fragrances, massages, mimosas, whatever floats your boat. Navigating this process and just the process of writing and submitting a K is a gigantic accomplishment. Add this grant application info to your CV and take a well-deserved break. And then you have about 3 months before you hear anything about your grant. So take a break, relax for a little bit, give yourself a little break to cleanse your palate, and get back to the other stuff you need to do. But thank you for joining me on this journey, and I wish you great success in your grant writing.